Hi guys, thanks so much for tuning in. I'm Nic Hyl, and today I want to talk about jeans. You know who has jeans? Anybody besides? Okay, so you know when you have your jeans and you have jeans that maybe you want them to have a more ripped, torn, vintage feel, and then you have some jeans that you want them to look a little bit more tailored and less deconstructed. So I've got so many jeans that I can't even count. Like it's ridiculous. But some of my jeans, as we just figured out, I don't want to have holes, or they have more holes than I want them to have. And I know that sounds crazy, but sometimes when I'm putting my jeans on, my toes get stuck in the holes and then the holes get bigger, but I didn't want them to be that big. So today I'm going to put some patches on my jeans, and I'm going to show you a couple of fun little tricks that you can do to put patches on your jeans and just have a little bit more fun and a little bit of creativity. I'm going to be using my sewing machine to put my patches on, but if you don't have a sewing machine, I'll give you some practical tips that you can do to sew them at home by hand. So the first thing you're going to need to create the patch for your jeans is obviously your jeans. And you want to know exactly where you're going to be putting the extra fabric. But one step before that, you even want to figure out what fabric you're going to use to make your patches. Traditionally, you can buy patches from places like fabric little stores or like craft supply stores. Anywhere where they sell sewing supplies, you should be able to get 2x2, 2x4 patches. Because I am a sustainable designer and I like to repurpose and reuse as much fabric as I can and donate what I'm not using, I'm just going to look around my house to see what I can find. So for my Levi jeans, I'm going to create patches by using some of the extra lace fabric that I have from some of my lace swimsuits that I make. I think it's going to be the perfect color, it's going to give me the perfect amount of stretch, and I think it's going to be super cute. I can't wait to see what they look like. If you don't have random lace fabric sitting around your house, you might have a pair of older pants that you don't wear anymore, where you could cut from the pants, making the patch for you. This is a really great tip because what most pants and finished garments that are hanging in your closet have are finished seams. So if you're going to be sewing by hand, this might be a great place to turn to some of the old things that you want to donate anyway, because you can cut pieces from them and then just use those finished pieces of squares so that you don't have to re-sew the edges so that they don't fray as patches on your jeans. So these are my jeans, and in a second I'll take you guys to the table and show you exactly what I did and how I put this in here. But you can see I've already prepped my jeans, and I put that same white lace fabric into the holes of my jeans where I wanted them to go. And you can see that on this particular pair, they ripped right up the thigh, and I didn't want the rip to be that long. I just want the rip to be on the knee. So I think it's going to be real pretty when I sit down and you're going to see that piece of lace. I also had a hole here at the thigh and then another one on the other thigh. If you don't jump to put jeans on, baby, you don't feel my pain. Like, this is a struggle to put on non-stretch jeans sometimes. But I went ahead, I added my patches, and now we're going to sew them up. So because my Levi jeans are already prepped and patched and ready to sew, I'm going to show you how I inserted the fabric by demonstrating on this other pair of jeans that I also want to put patches in. The only thing is that I'm not going to use the same fabric that I used in my blue jeans in these black pair, but I'm just doing this for effect. So what you want to do is first figure out the amount of fabric that you're going to need. So I want to cover my jeans roughly from here to here. So if you wanted to measure that, you could easily get your measuring tape and see how much fabric you're working with. So that's about, I was guessing 5, looks like it's about 7.5 inches if I did it properly. So in real life, I want to take a piece of fabric that's about 7.5 inches long and about, I'd say 2 inches wide, just so that you have like a big enough square piece to go ahead and fit and then sew. So I'm not going to do any formal patterns or anything like that. I could, if I wanted to, just keep creating the same shape amongst all my jeans, but I'm not going to do that. So I am going to, however, move my jeans out the way so that I don't accidentally cut them. And I've got just my bare fabric on my table. I'm going to get my tape measure And just put the tape measure down on top of the fabric, and I can see that 7.5 is right about here. I'm eyeballing this cut because I feel confident in my cutting skills, but if you don't feel confident in your cutting skills, you could either take a ruler and rule it off on your paper, or you could, with ruler and pen, or you could, like I said, take another piece of material and cut the desired shape that you're looking for, but I just did it by hand. So now I have my scrap of fabric, and I've got some pins here. And you want to put this under, because that's where it will be sewn. You could top apply it, but then you would see the edges of your patch, and that might not be what you're going for. So now I've got my patch in there, and on this particular pair, if this was the fabric that I was going to use, I'd also patch up this bottom piece too, leaving just a hole at the knee. But in the interest of time, I'm just going to skip that. I would probably cut this out. And because it's lace, you could even do something fun and follow the shape of the scallop there, just so that it's a little bit more fun and decorative. But otherwise, it's okay. What do you guys actually think of this lace? Should I keep the lace in the jean, or should I go for like a black lace? Comment below, because now that it's in here, I don't know if I mind it so much, but I think it could be cuter with a black lace. So anyway, that's how you're going to put the patch in the actual fabric and prepare it for sewing. And the next step is to actually sew the patch in the jeans, and we're going to do that now. So now we're ready to sew. If you're sewing by hand, what you're going to do is just thread your thread through the eye of your hand sewing needle of your choice and start sewing. You've already got your lace prepped and placed where you'd like to, and you could even follow the pin lines if you were going to sew by hand. I would start from the bottom side just so that all my handiwork isn't present from the top. You could even turn the jeans inside out if you wanted to and sew it that way. But I'm not going to hand sew, like I said. I'm going to sew with my needle and thread. But if I were going to hand sew, I'd probably add some little dots and follow those lines and then just sew in those little dotted lines. I'd make those dotted lines either with my tailor's chalk or with light pencil marks, just so that they are not there on the jeans forever, and I would just stitch, 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 and then I'd be done with it. Instead, I'm going to be using my sewing machine, and I'm going to remove part of my sewing area so that I can slip the jeans on over the machine, because I don't want to stitch the leg together. So this little bit is going to be too narrow for me to close off on my machine, so I actually am going to have to hand sew. Thank you so much for tuning in, and I hope that you were able to get some great information for patching over your jeans. Let me know if this actually worked for you, and don't forget to tag me in your pictures. You can tag me on Instagram at Nic Hyl Clothing, or you can tag me personally on Instagram at Nic_Hyl. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and share. And what's the last thing to do? Live beautifully! Bye, guys.